Amelia, Part 2. How an ultra-left idea turned out right. What I want to talk about here, following my last video on this Amelia phenomenon, in which I was kind of wrong in a way, because when the so-called right took this meme from the so-called left, or as one of my subscribers said, more from the liberals than from the left. But let's not dilly-dally too much about terms. I don't really like all these terms anyway, but I'll use them for convenience. Although ultra-left is a term that I do subscribe to in a way. Well, I subscribe to it existing, not that I subscribe to it all being right. When they took that meme, the so-called right, from the so-called left or so-called liberals, actually they kept the essence of what Amelia was. All they did was change the context into being something positive rather than something negative. So I wasn't quite right about that. I'm just going to pause for a second because there's some noise outside with the crickets, because I'm in the jungle, you see, and I can edit that out if I give a pause, so I can quieten it down after. Hold on. So what I wanted to get into was more this, we're going back to the situationist, this kind of French, started as French, the French Situationist International, going back to the late 50s, growing out of various kind of radical art movements, but more on a theoretical side of things rather than an actual producing something other than text. The Situationists produced a lot of text, and being French, it was so intellectualized that they would take 100 pages to say what maybe an Anglo would say in 2 pages. But nevertheless, they came up with this concept, idea, call it what you want, and it was called the spectacle. Now they're living in, as I said, the late 50s to late 60s, that kind of period they're active. And of course there'd been an explosion of media since the war. You know, during the war, World War II days, there was a radio, basically. There was cinema, sure. There was advertising. But as we got into the 60s, it exploded. Commodity fetishism, if you like, exploded, didn't it? You no longer just went out for a loaf of bread. Now you were offered bread for every kind of lifestyle. Commodities were lifestyle choices, weren't they? Different cars for different types of people and families, and single men, and a woman's car, and this and that and that. So what their idea of the spectacle was that our lives are becoming mediated. We're living through media, and media, especially imagery, is, I said, manipulating, controlling, is basically the centre of our lives, that our feelings, our very thoughts are coming through the media into us, and we're reproducing them, kind of thinking that we're being individual or having our own thoughts, when in fact they're all being guided for us using imagery. So as we move into this new world of AI and even more manipulation of imagery, the internet, they never foresaw the internet, but they did foresee technocratic society. I think they got it right in that the spectacle is all around us, is our very lives now. We're inside it, we're a part of it. when you're in Facebook, when you're in your social media account, your life is entertainment, your life has become spectacle. And I'm going to develop this a little bit more as I go along. But they turned out to be right. So the ultra left, we shouldn't dismiss everything we hear on the left, or indeed on the right, because some of those ideas are profound and are very significant for our lives today. And this Amelia thing has become a part of the spectacle. What the Situationists worried about a lot was that everything becomes recuperated. Recuperation is an old term they used to use, which means absorbed by, turned against itself. So that's why you get capitalism that can take revolutionary ideas and actually sell them back to you. It's not always threatened by them, because revolution makes money. Revolution keeps capitalism alive. Even negative kind of revolution can be packaged and can be sold back to the consumer. So I will develop this further. So thanks for listening and thanks for watching, and I'll see you about.